Welcome to We've Got a Country to Say, brought to you by Freedom Chat. Freedom Chat has true end-to-end encryption, no storage of messages on the server, and no commercial use of user data. That way you can speak freely and message privately. Download the app today and subscribe to my Freedom Chat channel at Larry Elder for exclusive posts and never-before-seen content. We also thank Impactful Pictures, Old Glory Bank, and Patriot Mobile. Please be sure to like and subscribe to our podcast. Make sure to follow or subscribe to my channel on whatever platform you are using, whether X, YouTube, Facebook, or Rumble. And please patronize our sponsors so we can keep bringing you these awesome videos. And if you don't patronize our sponsors, well... We know where you live. Now, Republicans in Minnesota have introduced legislation to officially recognize Trump derangement syndrome as a mental disorder that is hopefully treated by professionals.
I didn't write down which page it was on, but within this document, $1 billion cut from Washington, D.C. I'm a D.C. resident, and I'm...
Yep.
Okay, so, you know, there's actually little that the Senate minority leader can say, and the 10 Democrats that voted with the Republicans can say, to appease somebody like me. I'm about to change my registration to independent.
But it's too late. TDS has gone international.
First, give us back the Statue of Liberty. We gave it to you as a gift, but apparently you despise it, so it will be fine here with us.
To which the press secretary said...
Absolutely not. And my advice to that unnamed low-level French politician would be to remind them that it's only because of the United States of America that the French are not speaking German right now. So they should be very grateful to our great country.
Someone once said the last war the French won was the French Revolution, and that's because they fought themselves. The new administration is in full command and control. The FBI's Patel gave a speech about the weaponization of the DOJ.
And it really is one of the most special rooms in the halls of justice. And it really is a unique experience to be able to be a part of the team that is delivering a singular system of justice for the American people with a complete and total annihilation of the weaponization of justice and the politicization of intelligence. And I told you when I got this job that we would crush violent crime, that we would take the fight to anyone who wishes to do harm to our way of life and to hurt our citizenry, that we would go to the ends of the earth to bring them back to face American justice produced right here in this very hall, in this very building. To that effort, we have done just that. The FBI stood up an interagency task force at our Manassas office, and in just 2.5 short weeks, we have arrested over 300 violent felonies, gang members, including MS-13 and 18 gangsters. We have taken seizure of hundreds of pounds of narcotics and hundreds of weapons and currency and illicit goods. That's just what you can do when you put the brave men and women of law enforcement in one room and get the hell out of their way. And we are going to do that in every state across this country. In Massachusetts alone, in the last couple of weeks, they have indicted federally over 50 violent gang members and narco traffickers, seizing almost 200 kilograms of fentanyl. There is no time for us to waste on this job, and that's why under President Trump's leadership and General Bondi's leadership, we've been instructed to get after it, and that's exactly what we are doing. We have to especially get after it when we lose an American citizen every 7 minutes to a drug overdose. We have to especially get after it when a man or child is, a woman or child is raped in this country nearly every 6 minutes. And we have to especially get after it when there are 2 homicides nearly every hour in this country. Violent crime is exploding, and it is a direct result of the border invasion that occurred. But thanks to this administration and thanks to your relentless work on the field of battle to protect our citizenry, we are finally curbing those astronomical numbers. And what that means is we are saving American lives. It is a team effort. This is not a one-stop, one-man, one group, one agency operation. It happens at every single level. Just last night, 7 narco-trafficking thugs from Colombia were extradited and returned to American soil to face American justice. Just the other week, 29 Mexican narco-traffickers from Mexico were repatriated here to America to face American justice. Just in that group alone, you are talking about over 5,000 kilograms of narcotics that would have poured into our country. And you'll see the type of damage that just a little bit of fentanyl can do to our children. And we're talking about thousands and thousands of kilos. Yes, that is a national security crisis, but the good news is the men and women of law enforcement, in conjunction with the brave warriors that we have in Congress, who have the courage to stand up and fight for their representatives and fight for their constituencies, are leading the funding and legislation we need to make sure we get this mission done. This is not going to be a short-lived process. Certainly at the FBI, it is something we wake up to every single day and go to bed at every single night. And the thought is singular. What is the best way we can safeguard our citizenry? What are we doing worse? What are we doing better? And what's in between? And when we have those answers for you, you see them delivered in the halls of justice in the courts across this country. We must go down to the furthest reaches of the planet to make sure that we bring you the justice that you have voted for in this new administration. And we will, and this is my promise to you as the director of the FBI for as long as I'm in this seat, we will never, ever stop fighting violent crime. That is the priority of the FBI along with national security, and we will put every resource and every manning that we have on that mission. But I want you to pay attention also to what's going on in the halls of Congress, because they are providing us with the resources we need to combat the fentanyl crisis. And this administration is providing us with the tools we need by designating the cartels foreign terrorist organizations, because that's exactly how they should be treated, because that's exactly who they are. And in that pursuit, I look forward to playing a very small part. The FBI will play a very large part, and our interagency partners and our local and state law enforcement officers will start putting more and more and more handcuffs on the bad guys, and good cops across this country will be unleashed to be good cops on a daily basis. And the lasting promise that I will leave you with, and this is a message to the law enforcement community, you have always had the backs of the American people, so the Federal Bureau of Investigation and me as its director will have your backs. Thank you.
Did you know that trillions of data records were exposed in 2024? From the AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile data breach that exposed the text records of over 100 million Americans, to the Change Healthcare data breach, or even more recently, a hacking group claims to have stolen every single American Social Security number. People are confused, concerned, and off about the invasion of privacy that's currently going on. And yet, despite these concerns, many people continue to use messaging apps that claim to be private and secure. But are they? These apps also track your location, time spent on the app, your activities within the app, your browser, phone type, carrier, and even other identifiers such as your financial information and political affiliation. Newsflash, if you're not being charged for an app, you are the product. Your data is being collected and used, often without your permission and in ways you might not even realize. Here to tell you more is advisor, board member, and renowned radio and TV host, Larry Elder.
Freedom Chat is a private social messenger that allows you to message who you want and subscribe to the channels you want, all in complete and total privacy. With true end-to-end encryption, soon to be quantum-safe encryption, no storage of messages on your servers, and absolutely no commercial use of user data. Your conversations and your data belong to you, not big tech, not governments, not malicious hackers. Is Freedom Chat, Tanner, easy to use? Am I good at tennis? You see, with Freedom Chat, you can edit, unsend, and self-destruct messages, share images, videos, or GIFs.
It's GIFs.
GIFs?
GIFs.
Really?
It's GIFs.
It's not GIFs?
No, it's GIFs.
When did they change it? Prevent screenshots and customize fonts and colors, and enable dark mode, all from one user-friendly dashboard.
Our team is working incredibly hard to make our dreams a reality, and we want you to join us.
Don't watch from the sidelines. Invest in freedom, invest in your privacy, and be a part of history.
Speak freely and message privately with Freedom Chat.
Download the app today. GIFs?
GIFs.
Honestly?
GIFs.
GIFs?
GIFs.
What does it stand for? It stands for Americans have had enough of supporting companies that hate our values. Tired of compromise? So am I. It's time to switch to Patriot Mobile, America's only Christian conservative wireless provider. They are an example of putting the cause ahead of profits, and that's why I'm proud to partner with them. Patriot Mobile offers dependable nationwide coverage, giving you access to all 3 major networks, which means you get the same coverage you've been accustomed to without funding the left. When you switch over to Patriot Mobile, you're sending a message that you support the First Amendment, the Second Amendment, the sanctity of life, and our military vets and our first responder heroes. Their 100% US-based customer service team makes it easy to switch, keep your number, keep your phone, or upgrade. Their team will help you find the best plan for your needs. Just go to patriotmobile.com/Larry or call 972-PATRIOT. That's patriotmobile.com/Larry or call 972-PATRIOT. Get free activation when you use the offer code Larry. Join me and make that switch today. patriotmobile.com/Larry, patriotmobile.com/Larry or call 972-PATRIOT. And Elon Musk explained to Ted Cruz what he's uncovered with DOGE, and it will blow your mind. And he talked about why people want him killed.
If you say, look, what's the waste to fraud ratio?
Yeah.
In my opinion, it's like 80% waste, 20% fraud. Take, for example, the $1.9 billion given to Stacey Abrams, a fake NGO.
Utter insanity.
Explain that. Forget to know the story.
That's corrupt. That's just corrupt, I think. That's paying off cronies at that point.
1,000%.
Yeah. And by the way, she knew. Like when you get $2 billion, you don't miss that. That's not...
It's not an accident.
Allegedly, it was for environmentally friendly appliances or something. And they've given like 100 appliances so far for $2 billion. It's a very expensive toaster oven.
They're really nice.
One hell of an appliance.
That Sub-Zero fridge, boy, it's nice.
Right. Now, this is obviously one of the biggest scam fraud holes we've uncovered, which is really crazy, is that the government can give money to a so-called nonprofit with very few controls, and then there's no auditing subsequently of that nonprofit. So there's no. So this is where with the $1.9 billion to Stacey Abrams, they then give themselves extremely lavish, like insane salaries, expense everything to the nonprofit. Buy jets and homes and all sorts of things.
Live like kings and queens.
Yes.
On the taxpayer dime.
Correct.
And like one of the things that you told me, you said if any company kept its books the way the federal government does, they'd arrest the officers and put them in jail.
Yes. If it was a public company, it would be delisted immediately. It would fail its audit, and the officers of the company would be imprisoned. That's the level of malfeasance in the federal government, unfortunately.
It's stunning.
Deliberately, or do you think this is incompetence again?
It's 80%. It's 80% incompetence and 20% malice.
So if you look at DOGE now, and you look at the government and what you're finding, what percentage have you guys even gotten to, and how much of it is Mars, where you haven't even gotten there yet because there's so much you're finding out here? I mean, how many? You seem like a timeline guy when you say, all right, I want to get in there and get all these, numbers and things. How far are we from the end game, where you've seen it all, been able to process it all, and fix it? I mean, are we years away, months away?
Not years. I mean, reasonably confident that we'll be able to get $1 trillion of waste and fraud out, and that meaning that it will have, we'll have a net savings in FY26, which starts in October, obviously, of $1 trillion.
Wow!
Provided we're allowed to continue and our progress is not impeded.
Why do they hate you so much?
Well, because we're clearly over the target. If DOGE was ineffective, if we were not actually getting rid of a bunch of waste and fraud, and a bunch of that fraud, I mean, the fraud we're seeing is overwhelmingly on the left. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's not zero on the right, but these NGOs are almost all left-wing NGOs that are being funded, for example.
Yep.
So they hate me because DOGE is being effective, and DOGE is getting rid of a lot of waste and fraud that people on the left were taking advantage of. That's what it comes down to. And the single biggest thing that they're worried about is that DOGE is going to turn off fraudulent payments of entitlements. I mean, everything from Social Security, Medicare, unemployment, disability, small business administration loans, turn them off to illegals. This is the crux of the matter.
Yep.
Okay. This is the thing that why they really hit my guts and want me to die.
And do you think that's billions, hundreds of billions? What do you think the scale is of that?
I think across the country, it's well north of 100 billion, maybe 200 billion. By using entitlements fraud, the Democrats have been able to attract and retain vast numbers of illegal immigrants.
And buy voters.
And buy voters, exactly.
Well, I will say if Act Blue and Arabella Networks...
Act Blue is a huge scam, next level.
Do you think it's foreign money, Chinese money? Where do you think the money in Act Blue is coming from? And how do you figure that out?
Well, it's not coming from a whole bunch of, from a groundswell of public support. Yeah. Because when individual donors are looked at in Act Blue, they eventually turn out to be like diehard Republicans,
right?
People that have never given money in their life. So you're going to track down a bunch of these people where it says, oh, I gave $16,000. And they're like, I didn't give $16,000. What are you talking about?
Well, if those
Republican friends of mine found themselves on the Act Blue list, they're like, it definitely wasn't me.
And by the way, I put out on X the day before yesterday, if you were having a beer with Elon and could ask him anything, what would you ask? And got lots of responses.
Yeah.
The most common response people said is say thank you. Look, right. Texans and the American people appreciate what you're doing.
Sure.
You don't have to put up with this BS, and you're doing it. I'm grateful. You're making a hell of a difference for this country. I appreciate you, and the Americans appreciate you. Thank you.
It's essential for the future of civilization. Otherwise, I wouldn't be doing it.
Yes.
It's not like I want to get death threats, you know.
Now, former President Barack Obama was DOGE before Trump.
Everyone knows that getting rid of the deficit will require some tough decisions. And that includes cutting back on billions of dollars in programs that a lot of people care about. But what should be easy is getting rid of the pointless waste and stupid spending that doesn't benefit anybody. Waste we should be getting rid of even if we didn't have a deficit. Sure, some of these cuts aren't that big, but no amount of waste is acceptable. Not when it's your money. Not at a time when so many Americans are already cutting back. Just as families are living within their means, government should too. Did you know the federal government pays for a website devoted to a folk music ensemble made up of forest rangers? They're called the Fiddlin' Foresters. I'll put their music on my iPod, but I'm not paying for their website. And there are hundreds of similar sites that we should consolidate or just get rid of. By the way, you're not only paying for websites no one needs, you're paying for thousands of buildings all across the country no one uses. For the last decade, the government's owned a massive and completely empty warehouse in the middle of Brooklyn, for example. Now, the government hadn't been able to sell this building and others like it because of red tape and Washington politics that held things up for years. But we're finally cutting through all that and plan to get rid of these buildings in the months ahead. We need to step up our game. We need to go after every dime. We need to make government work for you. That's why, starting today, I've asked the Vice President to lead a renewed effort to hunt down misspent tax dollars in every agency and department of this government. We're calling it the Campaign to Cut Waste, and I know Joe's the right man to lead it, because nobody messes with Joe.
there's a new standard by which the government is going to function from this point on. The American people are entitled to transparency. Look, a lot of this depends on new, sophisticated methods, but it also, we know, depends on relentless focus on making this a priority. Focus that can't be delegated. We're holding ourselves accountable, and we're deeply committed and focused on making government function better. We're not just eliminating fraud and waste. We hope to be instilling an entire new culture that not only our administration, but every succeeding administration will in fact pursue. We're going to give you the government you expect and deserve.
And in 2010, Vice President Joe Biden was DOGE before DOGE.
Everybody also agrees, I got from this morning, but I think we had before, that we waste a heck of a lot of money, and that somewhere around a third of all the dollars we spend on Medicare goes for nothing useful. We're not cutting Medicare benefits in this. We're trying to eliminate the third of the problem that's a waste, and this is a big entitlement. It's a big entitlement. Medicare, it exists. We got to figure out how to keep it from bankrupting the country without denying seniors what they're entitled to.
But. And never mind what Trump has repeatedly said.
The spending bill that passed last night aims to cut $2 trillion.
Right.
Can you guarantee that Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security will not be touched?
Yeah, I mean, I have said it so many times, you shouldn't be asking me that question. Okay? This will not be read my lips. It won't be read my lips anymore. We're not going to touch it. Now, we are going to look for fraud. I'm sure you're okay with that, like people that shouldn't be on, people that are illegal aliens and others, criminals in many cases, and that's with Social Security. We have a lot of people. You see that immediately when you see people that are 200 years old that are being sent checks for Social Security. Some of them are actually being sent checks, so we're tracing that down, and I have a feeling that Pam is going to do a very good job with that. But you have a lot of fraud. But no, we're not doing anything.
How many times, CNN, do Republicans have to say this?
Congressman, would you be supportive of Elon Musk doing what he said he was going to do in that interview, which is cut entitlements, essentially?
So put it in context of what he was actually talking about. First of all, he said $700 billion. That is a tiny fraction of the total amount. And why? Because what he's talking about is eliminating waste, fraud, and abuse. He's been identifying.
Sure, I mean, the entire cost of Medicaid is basically what he was saying there, that $700 billion number. It's not the $500 million that many people say is often the number for Medicare or Medicare Advantage.
Keep in mind, right, but Casey, keep in mind what's happening here. We are now dealing with the expansion population under Obama, where able-bodied individuals are getting a 90% federal funding compared to the vulnerable and the elderly and the sick, who are only getting 50 to 75% because Obamacare was structured in a bad way. You have enormous amount of fraud under Medicaid. You have illegal aliens getting Medicaid. You have California gaming Medicaid in order to get money.
Do you really think there's $700 billion worth of fraud and waste in Medicaid? $700 billion? I mean, it's the cost of the whole thing.
Okay, well, Casey, let me give you a number that might mean something. The 2021 CBO budget baseline compared to the 2025 CBO budget baseline, a $1.2 trillion increase. Significant amounts of that is waste, fraud, and abuse. Significant amounts of that is illegal aliens. Significant amounts of that are able-bodied citizens as compared to the vulnerable. That's what we need to sort out.
Do you think you can cut $700 billion without touching law-abiding American citizens who are entitled to their benefits under Medicare, Social Security, and Medicaid? I mean, do you think that's really possible in these programs? $700 billion with a B?
Yeah, well, first of all, remember that we've gone from $4.5 trillion of spending, Casey, in 2019 to $7 trillion in 2025. We've identified $1 trillion in improper payments. That means money that's going to the wrong people and money that's going in the wrong amounts. There's plenty of us to be able to go find the waste, fraud, and abuse, make sure it's going to the right people. But again, I'm being very specific. I actually believe in work requirements. Most Americans do it. Polls at like 80%. You should work if you're able-bodied, and then those are the kinds of ways that you can save money. And Elon was just simply saying, and not just in Medicaid, but broadly, when you have duplicate Social Security numbers, where you have known fraud in Medicaid and Medicare. I worked in the Attorney General's office in Texas and the Medicaid fraud division there was very busy because of so much fraud. We can do a better job getting the actual dollars to the people who are supposed to get them under the programs, like the vulnerable under Medicaid.
Yeah. President Trump, of course, on the campaign trail said over and over and over and over again that he's not going to cut Social Security and he's not going to cut Medicare. Where are you on this? I mean, do you stand with the president on that? Do you stand with what Elon Musk is apparently saying here?
Well, again, let me be clear about what Elon's saying. He's saying find the waste, fraud, and abuse, the duplication, and those things that you can find in the.
But that's not what that's not what he's saying. I just want to know, like, are you with President Trump on cutting Medicare and Social Security, on not doing that?
But to be clear, that is what Elon was talking about. And on Social Security, under what we're going to deal with in terms of reconciliation, we're legally not allowed to talk about Social Security, touch Social Security under the law. Medicare, the president is saying we're going to preserve the benefits for people who have played into Medicare, and now we need to get busy finding what we can in food stamps and Medicaid under the reconciliation process and get the tax policies in place so you don't have the biggest tax increase in history on the American people. I think that's the right approach. Do we need to find a way to make Social Security solvent by 2033? Yes, it will be insolvent by 2033. Do we need to find a way to make health care prices go down so that Medicare can actually be there for seniors? Yes, because right now it's exploding off the charts. The costs are unbearable for the average American family that's a working class family that's got insurance or doesn't, or they're a senior citizen under Medicare. We've got so much work we need to do, but the priority right now is waste, fraud, and abuse, DOGE doing their job, and yes, some reforms in with respect to Medicaid so that we can actually stop the bleeding under Biden that was funding illegals and funding the able-bodied at the expense of the vulnerable.
And the aforementioned Joe Biden was against sanctuary cities during the 2007 primary campaign before he was in favor of them when he became president.
Would you allow these cities to ignore the federal law regarding the reporting of illegal immigrants and, in fact, provide sanctuary to these immigrants?
The reason the cities ignore the federal law is the fact that there is no funding at the federal level to provide for the kind of enforcement at the federal level you need. Pick up the New York Times today. There's a city not far across the river from my state that imposed similar sanctions. And what they found out is, as a consequence of that, their city went in the dumps, in the dumpster. Stores started closing. Everything started to happen. And they changed the policy. Part of the problem is you have to have a federal government that can enforce laws. This administration has been fundamentally derelict in not funding any of the requirements that are needed even to enforce the existing law.
So, Senator Biden, yes or no, would you allow the cities to ignore the federal law?
No.
And speaking of Rachel Maddow, is it just me, or have you noticed you never see Ron Reagan and Rachel Maddow in the same place at the same time?
Elon Musk has apparently somehow convinced the United States government, specifically the United States Department of State, that the taxpayers of the United States of America should spend $400 million buying, quote, armored Tesla production units. Isn't it great and definitely not at all illegal or profoundly corrupt? Definitely not ripping us all off to pay themselves, right?
Donald Trump didn't give that contract to Elon Musk. Joe Biden gave it to him.
Whoops. Here is another Trump hater, Kerosene Maxine Waters, in mid-season form.
I'm worried that Trump is on the edge of creating a civil war. He alluded to it more than once. He alluded to the fact that if he did not get reelected, that there could be a civil war. What does Trump expect? Oh, I believe he expects violence. I believe he expects confrontation. I believe he's working toward a civil war. We're not going to get goaded.
Kerosene Maxine has been predicting the next civil war since the Civil War. A top DEI activist is caught on voicemail allegedly offering minority air traffic controller candidates the chance to cheat in a make or break entry exam.
Washington Suburban Associate members, brothers and sisters, listen. It's been a really busy time for me these past 4 days. I know that each of you are eager, very eager, to apply for this job vacancy announcement. And trust, after tonight, you will be able to do so. I am asking that you give me another 15 or 16 hours. Allow me to go to work and come home, provide you with an email that will be extremely crucial in the opening stages of this hiring process. there are some valuable pieces of information that I have taken a screenshot of, and I'm going to send that to you via email. Trust and believe it will be something that you will appreciate to the utmost. Keep in mind, we are trying to maximize your opportunities, and I'm doing the very best that I can with the time that I'm given. Today when I get off at 11 o'clock, the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to finish out that email. I'm going to send it to each of you, and as you progress through the stages, refer to those images so that you will know which icons you should select. Now, I have a good mind to send it to one of my HR representatives first and give them the opportunity to sign off on it before you actually click it. But in the sake of time, I'm going to send it directly to you because I'm about 99.99% sure that it's exactly how you need to answer each question in order to get through the first phase. People have been getting rejection notices, and those rejection notices have been coming after about 24 to 36 hours after clicking submit. And I want to avoid that. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our time, and we're going to make sure that everything that we click on, and you're going to even have to go back to your resume and make some changes because one of our members and I have caught something, and we want to go back and we want to fine-tune those details. And I guarantee that will give us the very best feeling that we could ever get in applying for this job. VRAs, those that have received tentative offer letters, we want you to apply for this job anyway. Messages came back saying do not give the agency an opportunity to say they never gave you one. So apply for it anyway. For everyone else, stand by to stand by. Later on this evening when I get home, I'm going to finish those emails, and then I'm going to go back to planning for the Black History Month program. And then I'm going to process all new members' enrollment forms. And then I'm going to send out my emails to the managers of the FAA regional headquarters and thanking them for my visit. And then I'm going to get back to handling some important business for the VRAs. I think we may have an opportunity, VRAs, to do something that others probably would find impossible. I found that answer talking to people in HR. So give me an opportunity to do what I need to do this evening, and I guarantee after that you will be able to apply for this job. Thanks a lot. God bless.
Okay, folks, close him up.
You're not Dr. Stewart.
No. But I did stay at a Holiday Inn Express last night.
And while we're on the subject of things that make you go...
$100,000 on a trip to Disney once. How much have you spent on charitable causes this year? Let's start cooking these pancakes.
This year technically just started, so this year, it's hard to.
What about last year?
Well, last year, it's hard to gauge.
All right. So what about the year before last year?
Oh, well, that year, that's a good year. Yeah, it's just blurry. I be doing so much.
BLM, since you want to be so black powered.
BLM is a scam.
Clip that. Send it to
BLM was literally a scam. They had bought mansions, and you probably wouldn't know anything about it because you don't care about black people. So you don't follow black
I do care about black people. Look at my chocolate. You're mad.
It's a disguise.
You're mad. I think I'm literally the most pro-black person in this room.
Because you have an all-white staff?
They're not white. They're POC. Thank you.
Things that make you go.
But don't laugh.
Hey, let little Yachty cook.
Why isn't your bank asking what's in your heart? When big banks cancel your account because they don't like your politics, or they share your transaction data with the government, it's no wonder they don't ask what's in your heart. That's not what they care about. Old Glory Bank is different. We're the pro-America online bank that protects your privacy, security, and liberty. Started by Dr. Ben Carson, Larry Elder, and John Rich, we proudly serve customers in all 50 states. Open your account in minutes at oldglorybank.com. We stand with you.
Eldorados, have you gone to the LarryElderShop.com? LarryElderShop.com? No? You haven't picked up any We've Got a Country to Save merch? T-shirts? Crew necks? Hats? Beanies? Then what, pray tell, are you wearing right now? Every item fuels our shared mission, which is we've got a country to save. And now is the perfect time to join the movement. Use promo code ELDER25, that's ELDER25 at checkout, and get 25% off your entire order, which is why we called it ELDER25. LarryElderShop.com right now. Gear up, save 25% today with ELDER25 because we've got a country to save. Now, how many times were we told that crime was down under Joe Biden?
Folks, we don't always hear about it, but today's violent crime rates are down nationwide, nearly every major category, to one of the lowest levels in over 50 years.
Under the Biden regime, average monthly homicides increased by 14%. Property crime rose tremendously. Violent crime went up at least 37% that they know of. Rape soared by 42%. Car theft rose by 48%. And robberies surged to 63 to 100%. They don't even know what the number is. And I have no higher mission as President of the United States than to end this killing and stop this law-breaking and to making America safe again. And that's what you're all about in this room. We want to protect Americans, and we protect everybody that's in our country, American or not American. We want to have a safe and proud country.
This federal worker describes the 5 things he did last week.
See, what we're actually trying to do here is we're trying to get a feel for how people spend their day at work. So if you would you walk us through a typical day for you?
Yeah.
Great.
Well, I generally come in at least 15 minutes late. I use the side door. That way Lumberg can't see me. And after that, I just sort of space out for about an hour. Till I'm space out? Yeah. I just stare at my desk. But it looks like I'm working. I do that for probably another hour after lunch, too. I'd say in a given week, I probably only do about 15 minutes of real, actual work.
Peter, would you be a good sport and indulge us and just tell us a little more?
Oh, yeah. Let me tell you something about TPS reports.
TPS stands for?
The thing is, Bob, it's not that I'm lazy. It's that I just don't care. Don't care? It's a problem of motivation, all right? Now, if I work my off and Initech ships a few extra units, I don't see another dime. So where's the motivation? And here's something else, Bob. I have 8 different bosses right now.
I beg your pardon?
8 bosses.
8?
8, Bob. So that means that when I make a mistake, I have 8 different people coming by to tell me about it. That's my only real motivation, is not to be hassled. That and the fear of losing my job. But you know, Bob, that'll only make someone work just hard enough not to get fired.
Now, for the first time in 31 years, an American won the Los Angeles Marathon. Our man on the street, Willie Nelson, ran in the marathon, finished a little over 3 hours, not too shabby. And as he ran, he made an observation that did not make the news. There were more Mexican flags than U.S. flags. Why, he asked, were there so few American flags in an American city? Imagine being in Mexico City and seeing more U.S. flags than Mexican ones.
Viva Gorditas!
And speaking of Willie Nelson, a.k.a. William Porter Nelson III, we asked him to find out who is the current leader of the Democrat Party.
Who do you think is the current leader of the Democratic Party?
Lucifer.
Can you expand on that?
Evil energy possesses certain people with power. and makes them take certain actions. You can look at that in the occult practices of Nazi Germany, and you can look at that in the politics of the modern day.
Who is the current leader of the, besides Satan? I think it has been Obama and Pelosi.
I don't know.
No one comes to mind.
I don't really feel like they're being led well, so no one does come to mind.
Who's the current leader of the Democratic Party? Money. Take that to the bank with you.
I want to say Kamala definitely was like the face in the political scheme.
Of the Democratic Party? I don't know, because I voted for Trump.
I almost feel sorry for them. Almost. Polls say they've never been this unpopular since polls were taken. If Dems were any less popular, people might be hunting them down with dogs. Oh, wait. Poor Democrats thrashing about trying to determine their leader. Ironically, the only way for the Dems to get out of this is to get behind the hoodie. I cannot unsee this. Honestly, it almost makes you yearn for this.
We are the Bears, shuffling crew, shuffling on down, doing it for you. We're so bad, we know we're good, blowing your mind like we knew we would. You know we're just strutting for fun, strutting our stuff for everyone. We're not here to start no trouble. We're just here to do the Super Bowl show.
And I cannot unsee this.
We're joined together by this noble dream. Have you got that? So it's just all the good people, but the second line, part of this family, and the last line, we're joined together by this noble dream. Do that with me. This is a song for all the good people. Come on. All the good people who are part of this family. This is a song for all the good people. We're joined together by this noble dream. Well, this is a song for all of those dreamers. We're looking for answers to come our way. Scientists, doctors, students, all seekers. We share in the hopes for a much brighter day. Come on now. Well, this is a song for all the good people. All the good people who are part of this family. This is a song for all the good people. We're joined together by this noble... Sideways.
Well, they've always got Jasmine. Trump wants to go back to enslaving blacks. Crockett.
And as they have decided to go after immigrants and things like that, and they've said, oh, they taking your black jobs. They taking your black jobs. Not really. They are obviously jobs that they want us to go back to, such as work in the fields, all right? Those immigrants that come into our country, they work the fields, something that we ain't done in a long time. And clearly, he is trying to make us go back to the fields.
You're close with Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez of New York. Some of your fellow House Democrats say, and not just progressives, by the way, we've heard that moderates have said this too, that they're ready to support her to challenge Chuck Schumer in a Democratic primary. Would you get behind that?
That's 4 years from now. If you were asking me at least in 2 years, then I would have an absolute answer. But I can tell you that there are a lot of people that are watching his leadership in this moment. This is the moment. We don't even know what elections will look like in 4 years, if we will have elections. And so I definitely think that younger, fresher leadership may be something that many of us, not just depending on what part of the spectrum you're on, but many Americans may be looking for, especially in the state of New York.
And Crockett said she had to work 10 times harder than whites to be successful.
Here is the problem.
Of course, Congresswoman, to interrupt you, but President Trump, of course, has denied any allegations he's a white supremacist, and that's why he apparently fired what he. I know your point, but he did fire Darren Beatty in reaction, they believe, in part to his attendance at that conference. Does that change your opinion in any way?
No, it doesn't change my opinion, because we saw what he literally recently just posted, and the coddling is for the white boys. That's what's happening right now. I am tired of the white tears. Listen, if you are competent, you are not concerned. When I walk into Congress every single day, you know why I don't feel a way and why you can't make me doubt who I am? Is because I know that I had to work 10 times as hard as they did just to get into the seat. When you look and you compare me to Marjorie Taylor Greene or me to Lauren Boebert, there is no comparison. And that is the life that we have always lived. So the only people that are crying are the mediocre white boys that have been beaten out by people that historically have had to work so much harder. This is why they don't want us to have education. I know that I had to work 10 times as hard.
Now, 20 years ago, the chair of the Black Congressional Caucus, Mel Watt, said he had to work 5 times harder.
The good old boy system says that somebody already has that job, even though they've got to interview 4 people for it, and they can't get that job. Or they get in on the base level and the promotions go to a family member, who says, well, that's my family member. I can discriminate, even though my great-grandfather made his money and built this business on the backs of a different mindset and racial attitude. I can justify it now because it's not me. That's not a level playing field for African Americans in this country. And so this is multidimensional. I'm not saying that, I would say with integrity to those students, you got to work. But if you're honest with them, you got to tell them, you got to work 5 times as hard as your white counterpart. Otherwise, it ain't going to happen.
Is that what you did?
I guarantee you. That's exactly what I did. Now, I didn't work as hard as Marvin Mood because, I always tease him now. I say, you weren't all that smart. You must not have been all that smart if you were studying all these hours. But, I worked probably 5 times as hard in college and law school as most of my counterparts did. Yeah, absolutely right. You got to work 5 times as hard as your white counterpart.
Do I hear 20? Damn! So the adversity against black success is getting worse. Will the real Jasmine Crockett please stand up?
Absolutely. First of all, it's good to see you in the new year. No one could have told me that when I went down to Austin, now it looks like a little bit over a year ago, that I would be running for Congress. It's just not what my plan was. But what I've always decided is that I would step up when there was a need. Listen, he up there, he's spewing all kinds of nonsense and bullshit. Let me just be real. And we weren't gonna sit for that shit. We wouldn't, But when she called me and said, I think it's time for me to retire, and you're the one that I believe should take my seat, I really was kind of caught off guard. I didn't anticipate that. If anyone knows anything about the Congresswoman, they know. We showed up, and if he had some sense, then maybe we would have been about that life. But y'all know he ain't got no sense, so please give some love. This took a little bit of coordinating to do, for sure. We got some cool shirts. The congressional seat is over 4 times as large as my House seat. And I was just starting to get into the rhythm of doing constituent services and things like that. We got Madam Williams, who just happens to have the honorary seat. It's not even honorary because she's holding it down, y'all. But the legend himself, John Lewis, that is the seat in which she currently serves. So she honored his legacy. This is the message that she wanted to send today.
And may God bless America.
you, sir. A couple introductions with the chat here. This is John O'Rourke.
Nice to meet you, John.
Mr. Ian Roberts.
Nice to meet you.
Peter Tencio.
All right. Nice to meet you.
Jerome Smith.
Come on, brother. What's up, fam? You know this.
Keith Williamson.
Nice to meet you.
Mary
All right.
Woodbury.
Nice to meet you.
Jay Martell.
Nice to meet you, sir.
Tasha Robinson.
Come on, come on, come on. Feel that?
Emily George.
Feel that? All right. Yeah. Nice to meet you.
Daryl Stokes.
Come on. What's up, fam? How you doing? All right. Never forget about that, because that's all we got. Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. All right. Oh, bring it in, bring it in. Started from the bottom, now we're here. Yeah. Nice to meet you. All right. Nice to meet you. All right. Nice to meet you.
1/8 black.
Afternoon, my octoroon. Come on, bring it in there. Tuck that.
Yeah, I'm in there, dog. I'm in there, dog. I'm in there, dog.
Never, I mean never, get caught between a Democrat and a race card.
Let me make sure y'all got the facts. Most extreme crimes that take place in this country are committed by white supremacists. 80% of extreme crimes are committed by white supremacists in this country. Do you know who went up there on January 6th? White supremacists.
Let's see. Facts. According to the Anti-Defamation League, in one recent year, there were 24 people killed by political extremists, and not all of these extremists were white. Meanwhile, 50% of the homicide victims and homicide perps in America are black people killing black people, and most of the perps and most of the victims are young black men, who are roughly 3% of the American population. So, 3% of the population, young black men, commit nearly 50% of the homicides, again, mostly against other young black men. This is not because blacks are genetically inclined to commit more homicide. When you're raised without a father, as is the case with 70% of blacks, you're 5 times more likely to be poor and commit crime, 9 times more likely to drop out of school, and 20 times more likely to end up in jail. But hey, Representative Crockett, let's not go there. Let's not talk about how the welfare state, launched big time in the 60s under Democrat Lyndon Johnson, has encouraged women to marry the government and men to avoid the financial and moral responsibility. Let's not be too hard on Crockett, because after all she's doing is following former President Joe Biden's lead.
The most dangerous terrorist threat to our homeland is white supremacy.
And this is a lecture at Columbia. And you wonder why Columbia students believe it is perfectly okay to engage in anti-Semitism, to be pro-Hamas, to stop students from attending class, to disrupt students as they study. It's because, as everybody knows, America, bad, bad, bad.
There are people who are charged with trying to find savings. So yes, it's an attack on government, but it's also an attack on this government. What I mean by that is it's an attack on this government that used to be headed by a black man. It's an attack on this government that almost elected a black woman to the highest office in the land. It's an attack on a government that has been more welcoming and more supportive of people who have come to this country in search for a better life.
Larry Elder here. For the past 18 months, I've been working with Impactful Pictures on an investigative documentary project called Electric Vehicles, the Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, which digs deeply into the multifaceted revolution of electric vehicles, shedding light on not just the environmental promises, but also the challenges and the potential pitfalls of this rapidly growing industry. Now, this all started when I began hearing this business about net zero emissions and that gas-powered cars are a threat to the planet and that there's this big push for electric vehicles. I felt conflicted. I love my gas-powered car, but I don't like being told what to do, and I don't want the planet to be damaged. Now, I've been in talk radio for about 30 years, been in TV for about 40. I ran for office, I ran for governor, I ran for president. I'm a best-selling author and a New York Times bestseller. I've always been a truth seeker. So I decided to go on an investigative journey to find out the answer to the following question. Are electric vehicles really better for the planet than gas-powered cars? Now, many governments around the world have signed up for what's called a net zero emission pledge. But a majority of Americans, over 90%, are still driving gas-powered cars, and they are facing the tough choice of whether to switch to an EV or not. We need to get to the truth about EVs. Our team traveled all around the country and talked to many experts and scientists in the fields of cars, the environment, mining, national security, etc. We looked beyond the mainstream media coverage, uncovering the lesser-known aspects of electric vehicles, like the environmental and humanitarian impacts of mining for minerals essential for EV batteries. And what does the future hold for battery disposal and recycling? We also don't shy away from controversial topics, like the geopolitical tensions that arise from China's dominance in the EV industry and the mining industry, and the potential vulnerabilities of EVs which could be prone to cyber attacks and excessive government control. This award-winning team of producer and director and crew at Impactful Pictures have done, in my opinion, an amazing job to uncover the truth. Impactful Pictures is an independent, non-profit film production company dedicated to creating family-friendly stories that entertain and inspire meaningful change for humanity. This is also an important documentary that needs to be seen by all Americans. And for production, we've done it all completely bootstrapped, having never taken one dime of outside funding to complete the project. Now, we need your help to raise money for marketing and promotion, enabling us to bring the truth about EVs to as many Americans as possible and help them make informed decisions on electric vehicles. This documentary is not just about cars, it's about the way we choose to shape our future. So visit our website, larryevfilm.com/join us to learn more and help spread the word about this film. Join us to become part of the truth-seeking movement and bring the truth to light. Thank you for all your support. So, after Trump's nearly 2 months in office, how do Americans think he's doing?
First of all, the mood of the country. This really jumped out. We asked folks, is it on the right direction or the wrong direction? That 44%, you say right direction, that's up since November. And if that doesn't seem like a lot, the last time it cracked 40%, you got to go back to 2012. The last time it actually hit 44 or higher, January of 2004. So a lot of this is Republicans, but independents, that number is also up since the election on the direction of the country.
This raises a tantalizing question, doesn't it? Would Americans support a third Trump term?
How would you feel about Trump running a third term?
Depends who he's going up against. Just depends who's better. And so far, we haven't found nobody better. But if you got someone better, yeah, go for it.
So you would be open to it?
Yes.
Well, it's my understanding that a third term would be unconstitutional, but it wouldn't be the first time that it happened. If there was a time to make an exception, I would think that it would be for him.
Can you expand on that?
Common sense. Common sense. You know what I mean? It's the liberal machine, the media machine versus the people. It's that simple.
I almost killed myself when he won this last time, so I would not be okay.
Can you expand on that? Why did you almost do that?
Because in my personal opinion, people willingly voted for someone who has at least 20-something sexual assault allegations versus a woman. I just feel like all of those people were saying they don't care about sexual assault. They don't care if you're sexually assaulted. They don't care if their neighbor's sexually assaulted. I just think that they don't care about that kind of stuff, and that's really sad to me.
So it's safe to say you wouldn't want Trump for another 4 years on top of these current 4 years?
No, we need another Luigi to save the world.
How would you feel about President Trump running a third term?
Grateful.
Why would you feel grateful?
I feel like he's not promoting socialism. I feel like he's an insightful individual, a businessman, and we have a chance, not going in debt.
If he was doing great things, why not?
So you're open to it?
Definitely, if he was doing great things.
I wouldn't mind. Yeah, I'm like, go for it, as long as he make things better again.
I don't think I have to answer that.
Yeah, absolutely not.
And why would you oppose this?
It's just a total attack on the entire environment and trans and LGBTQ people, and so many different groups of people are being impacted by this presidency, and hoping that we can all make through it.
Let's get it. Let's let him in there. I'm in that tax bracket. So if he gonna keep me getting paid, hey, I'm with that. I don't got nothing against him. He freed Kodak. He freed Lil Wayne. Hey, free me if I ever happen to go. So I with Trump. Go Trump.
In the legislation of the United States government, they're not allowed to run with a third term, and he's made that pretty clear that he will not be running for a third term. It was just a joke. However, the media loves to spin things in their own way to get the maximum amount of views. So
I don't think that's going to be so easy. I mean, I don't mind
he being the president for now, he's doing a great job, but it will have to change the constitution. I mean, it's not an easy thing to do.
All of the people that said that my Trump was gonna lose, so I say to you this morning, the day after the election,
Quick question. As between Ilhan Omar from Somalia, who supports Hamas, or Joy Reid, whose parents came from Africa, who attended Harvard, and who for years had a national cable show where she was making millions, as between Ilhan Omar and Joy Reid, who is the more ungrateful to live in America?
I mean, and as somebody who's, my parents, my father was from the Congo, and my mother was from Guyana, and so they were the immigrants who came here on purpose, and they got the rude awakening. My mother got the rude awakening, like, ooh, it's racist here. that's weird. For some reason, she was. Nobody told me. Why go to school? Yeah, she's like, tell me this is the land of opportunity, but not for me. It's weird.
Notice her parents did not pack and go back to Africa. Ah, the race card. Never leave home without it. Only in America can a black person make millions telling white people to F off. Is this a great country or what?
Hoo-ah! Glory, glory, hallelujah. Glory, glory, hallelujah.
Finally, we didn't do a podcast last week because I was in Antigua. Good thing no name calling ever takes place on The View.
By the way, there's such snowflakes on the right. If you say anything about them, they're going up to the lawyers in 2 seconds, But he can call people any names he wants.
People assume that we believe whatever they believe that we believe.
Huh?
But do you know what I mean?
No.
Well, people believe that they know everything I think and believe.
Oh,
they don't.
Yeah. They don't, no.
You know?
Of course not.
But one of the ways that you learn what people believe is to hear them talk. One of the things that people would love to see is people always say, you should take The View off television. You know why? Because we give you an opportunity. We don't tell you what to think. We say, this is what I think.
Right.
You know, Alyssa will say, this is what I think. Joy says, this is what I think. We all, and when we do that, that is how you have the dialogue. It's not personal. You know, sometimes somebody would say, well, that shirt looks a little tight on you, Whoopi. But that's not a bad thing. You know, it's not a bad thing. But it becomes an awful thing when people become personal about you or your family.
Yeah.
See, that's the difference. We don't do that here. Other people do it to us, and would like to think that that's what we're doing to them, but we're not. We're just trying to tell you what.
It's personal.
It is. That's my point.
Yeah.
It is. That's my point. You can't get out there calling names. Name calling is not okay.
One eternity later.
You've known Muskie for a while.
Okay.
That's what I call.
Yeah.
Muskie.
Okay. Some people call him Melania.
Well, I can call him that.
Yeah.
No, don't see.
Wakey, wakey.
Nobody move, nobody get hurt. Nobody move, nobody get hurt.
Last call for alcohol. And then this. It's just a matter of time. Someday we're all gonna be there.
Another trip from hell.
In there?
No, just go by the door so I can open it before you put your ass in there.
Oh, shut up. Don't start with me, you bastard.
Wait a minute. Don't get in there. You're gonna sit in the front.
I'm not gonna sit in there. I need my cane too.
All right, we'll find your cane. Turn around. Hold on to this. Just swing around here. Oh, you need your armrest. Keep going. Wait a minute.
Let me sit down.
Whoa, wait. You press the button to shut the damn door. Hold on to this. This is what it's for.
I'm sitting down.
Hell, you should know. I don't know if you're sitting or not.
Shut up your mouth, you mother.
Good job, Graham.
Hope you enjoyed We've Got a Country to Save. Brought to you by Freedom Chat. Freedom Chat has true end-to-end encryption, no storage of messages on the server, and no commercial use of user data. That way you can speak freely and message privately. Download the app today and subscribe to my Freedom Chat channel at Larry Elder for exclusive posts and never-before-seen content. We also thank Impactful Pictures, Old Glory Bank, and Patriot Mobile. Be sure to like and subscribe to our podcast. Make sure to follow and subscribe to my channel on whatever platform you are using, whether X, YouTube, Facebook, or Rumble. Please patronize our sponsors so we can keep bringing you these awesome videos. And remember, we've got a country to save.
Saying on my phone, I don't know, some of you know this on the iPhone, they've got that little stock app. I added Tesla to it to give me a little boost during the day. 225 and dropping. So, and if you own one, we're not blaming you. You can take dental floss and pull the Tesla thing off, you know, and take out, just telling you.
Wow. And I'm so sorry, what's your name?
My name's Tim.